Hello. A belated Happy New Year 2024, or an early welcome to the Year of the Dragon for all who celebrate. I'd like to do a quick solo episode to give you an update and a preview of what we have in store for you this year on the AIGA Design Podcast and at AIGA more broadly. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lee-Sean Huang, the Senior Director of Learning and Programs here at AIGA. The theme for this year's podcast and our programming more generally is margins. I'll get more into what I mean by margins a little bit later on, so stay tuned for that. As for the podcast, we are committed to about one episode a month, at least 8 episodes for this year, with some surprises and special features in between. One of the things we wanted to do differently here at AIGA this year is a return to more webinars. If you've been with us for a while, you'll remember back in 2020, 2021, we were doing a ton of webinars, sometimes multiple ones a week. And then when we could do in-person events again, we really scaled down our online live programming and really focused on the in-person conferences, which have been great for those who've come out to see us and gather with us in Seattle and in New York City last year. We sold out that New York City conference, and I hope to be able to announce more details about the 2024 conference very soon. So with more webinars throughout the year, they'll be free, live streamed online to help you with support and ideas for your career and creative growth as a designer. So be sure to follow us on @AIGA Design on social media, or subscribe to our email list with a link in the podcast show notes or in this post caption if you're watching the video version of this. AIGA's competitions are live and we are getting submissions coming in, and it's great to see. Entries are currently open for both AIGA's 50 Books, 50 Covers and 365 AIGA Year in Design. 50 Books, 50 Covers is celebrating its 100-year anniversary this year, so we are super excited for that. And 365 is back in its 3rd year after relaunching this classic competition. This year, we are emphasizing the competition not just as an opportunity to celebrate excellent design, but as an opportunity to celebrate impactful design and to create a historical snapshot of what design was like in 2023. Stay tuned, we will be announcing our jurors very soon, and also a reminder that our early submission deadline, where you can submit at a discounted price, is February 26th. So the earlier you can get your stuff in, the better. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Some other updates and changes here at AIGA. I want to talk about the AIGA Professional Design Certification. 2024 marks our 2nd official year after our successful launch and pilot of the AIGA Professional Design Certification programs, the Professional Designer, the PD, and the Design Leader, DL tracks. And we couldn't be more excited about the progress and engagement we've seen so far. Almost 20 designers have earned their full certifications with us. So we wanted to make things easier and more accessible to designers who want to go through the certification program. First, we've introduced a flexible learning path, so participants no longer have to complete the online learning modules to schedule their portfolio reviews. You can do it in any order that you would like. We believe that this just adds more flexibility to cater to your learning preferences and to your schedule. We've also made the portfolio reviews fully online. Previously, we were doing the professional designer reviews online, but we were doing the design leader portfolio reviews in person. We now have automated scheduling for participants in the certification program. We actually have a round of interviews coming up later in February, and then another round in June, and we'll announce some later dates for the second half of the year. And then finally, we have more affordable AIGA Design Leader certification prices as well. Since we've removed the in-person elements from the price, we've added in more online learning in the form of the Leading Innovation Certificate, which is now bundled with that certification. So I hope you will sign up and go to aiga.org or click on the link in the show notes to learn more about that certification if you think that is for you. As I mentioned before, we are almost ready to announce our AIGA Design Conference for 2024. We are still negotiating with venues and other logistics and things like that, but stay tuned. We are intending to do an event in October. So finally, circling back to the theme of margins for this year for both the conference and for our podcast programming. There could be different ways of interpreting the theme of margins. The first one being competitive margins. How do you stand out from the crowd? How do you find an edge in the market as a designer, as a design team, as a design firm? We can also look at innovation at the margins. How do we center marginalized communities, focus on emergent practices, pushing boundaries, looking at recently possible technologies, and sustainable transitions? The third way to look at margins is margins of error. What are some experiments, mistakes, and failures that you've made over the years, and how can we learn from them? Number 4 is margins of victory. So this is about designing for democracy, getting out the vote, which will be launching soon at AIGA as well, and mobilizing movements for change, particularly important with the elections happening this year at the federal level. The 5th way of looking at margins is profit margins. We want to look at entrepreneurship, ways of measuring value, new business models, as well as redefining what success even means. Finally, scribble in the margins. We want to see doodles, sketches, commentary, and critique about design, or propose your own interpretations of the margins theme. So these are just some initial ideas to get you thinking of things to propose, maybe to come onto the podcast as a guest yourself, or to propose something for the conference later this year, or as a webinar. Coming up on the podcast later in February, Danny Spitzberg and Humphrey Obobi, who are design researchers based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they'll be talking to us about why design research is stuck. So that's the update for the podcast and for AIGA for the start of the year. Look forward to seeing you online or in person at a future event.